Onboarding is a great opportunity. In a way, you don't want to tell someone no. You want to find a way to tell them yes.
You're listening to the Daily Stand-Up by Lifetime Value. Consider this your daily dose of new ideas, fresh perspectives, and/or hot takes as they relate to the worlds of customer success, post-sales, or whatever the hell we're calling it these days, and where we ask each guest one simple question: what's on your mind?
All right. What's up, lifers, and welcome to the Daily Stand-Up, your daily destination for just a skosh of customer success content. We've got our man Rob here. Rob, do you want to say hi?
How you doing, lifers?
We've got JP here. JP, do you want to say hi?
How you doing?
And we've got Rupesh here. Rupesh, do you want to say hi?
Hi, everyone.
And I am your host. My name is Dylan Young. Rupesh, thank you so much for being here. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Thanks, Dylan, for having me here. So I'm Rupesh Rao. I'm the founder of CogniSaaS, which is a customer onboarding tool for enterprise SaaS and services companies. Yeah, excited to be here.
Yeah, and thank you for being here. So, Rupesh, you and I had a chance to speak before this. I'm really excited to talk a little bit more about CogniSaaS and what it's trying to solve for. So why don't you tell us, you know the concept of the show. We want to hear what's on your mind when it comes to customer success. So please tell us.
Okay. So customer success, right? Every B2B SaaS company knows what customer success is about, and they have different metrics they use to measure customer success. The typical metrics we hear about are retention, NPS, product usage, customer health score. The interesting thing is these are all good metrics, but these are all lagging indicators of customer success. So the true leading indicators of customer success starts right from the sales and pre-sales stage, especially in the case of enterprise SaaS. So the promises we make to the customer and how you deliver on those promises during the customer onboarding and implementation stage actually become the leading indicator of customer success. So we at CogniSaaS, we are on this mission to help B2B SaaS companies get this early leading indicators of customer success right, set the stage for a strong foundation for customer success when the customer goes live, and then your adoption, NPS, attention kind of fall in place. So that's the objective we are solving for.
So, when I think about leading indicators, my mind immediately goes to whatever expectations were set in the sales process are likely, the leading indicators would be whether we're meeting those expectations as the customer understand them. Is that kind of, am I speaking your language, Rupesh?
Exactly. Spot on, right? So I think everybody talks about time to value. Everybody talks about value delivery. So I think in this time to value, most of the companies are good in measuring time, but I think this value bit is very subjective and everybody has different definitions of value in their mind, right? Mm-hmm. So how do you measure this value? So the way we like to think about this one is, again, going back to the sales stage, right? What did you promise to the customer? So if you are an enterprise SaaS company, you would have promised certain products or certain use cases or certain modules to implement as part of your onboarding. So during onboarding and implementation, are you actually measuring those exact things? So are you able to plan and execute on your customer onboarding at every module-wise basis or every use case-wise basis? Unlike where today most of the companies just get into the weeds, they start doing project management with task tracking tools, and they start going into Jira product management tools with a bunch of product tickets and whatnot. But this whole value that was promised, what modules we are implementing, what use cases we are solving for, that somehow gets lost in translation between sales, solution, implementation, product engineering team. So we believe that tracking that throughout the customer life cycle, what we are delivering for the customer is important.
Rob, what do you want to add to that?
Well, just to reflect on what you said, I think you're correct to say that driving that through line from the sales process is obviously super important. I'm curious to get your take on something, which is the challenge I've run into before, where you have different values at different levels of the organization. So, for example, Imagine you sell to a 50-person organization, 100-person organization. So not that massive of a company, but the economic buyer maybe is the CEO. Let's pretend the CEO had a certain value. The day-to-day manager maybe doesn't even really know what the solution is and has a different perception of value. Maybe value for them is even just like, hey, I don't really need my day-to-day to change, but I'll do it because my boss said so. And then value
Yeah.
to the end user, somebody on the ground. How do you multi-thread value delivery?
Okay, great question. So you're right. Different stakeholders in the organizations have different needs when it comes to value, what it means for them, right? A CEO might be looking for a high-level dashboard which answers the business questions for him or her in terms of the top line, the revenue, the cost, the P&L. That's what value is for them. For a manager level, this is more around, can I get some analytics to make decisions for my day-to-day operations? And for a user, it's just, can I get my task? I've got 10 things on my plate. Can I just close my tasks, right? Get it done and move on. So I think as a solution provider, we have to address the needs of each of these stakeholders. You need to solve for the day-to-day person, for the daily task tracking. You need to solve for the meaningful dashboarding and reporting, and give some intelligence to it, right? I mean, not just be a system of record. Also have some intelligence. Okay, what should we do? Why should we do? What should we prioritize? That kind of things makes it really very compelling, right, during onboarding and implementation.
JP, what do you think?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's one of the most important critical parts, right, in the customer journey. I think that you brought up something great with the promise, right? There's always like this promise or this expectation of what the customer is going to get delivered. And I like to think about, of course, there's so many great things, but where are those boundaries? Where are the boundaries of the customer's expectations and what the company can deliver? I feel like there's this opportunity to turn that boundary into, like, how do you turn that boundary into a value for the customer? I think that that's something that a lot of CSMs end up doing later down in the line when you say have to explain the difference in maybe someone's got one type of support and they're trying to get the most white glove level of support, but maybe they haven't paid for that tier, or maybe that's not something that's sustainable for the company. And that's where the relationship begins to experience a fracture. So I like to see that onboarding is a great opportunity to sort of have those boundaries there, but in a way you don't want to tell someone no. You want to find a way to tell them yes and enforce that boundary as a value. So I think it's obviously onboarding is really a crucial time, and I'm sure you're aware that at CogniSaaS, and you're able to really help a lot of companies out through that process.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You're right. I think expectation setting is super important right from the early stage in the relationship. And this is a common challenge, right? Sales team has a different way of managing expectations and setting expectations, which is a little bit more on the optimistic side of things. And when it comes to delivery teams, they are more realistic on the ground kind of, managing it. So it's always a challenge. Yeah, I think you have to get very good at stakeholder management, understanding their personal perceptions and their motivations and personal goals and company goals. And if you can align yourself with those, then it becomes a mutual win-win.
Well, that's our time, Rupesh. I want to thank you so much for bringing this topic to us and sharing it with the community. We would definitely love to have you back and maybe do a deeper dive into CogniSaaS next time. So thanks again.
Thanks for having me here, and hope this was helpful.
All right, Rupesh.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Rupesh.
You've been listening to The Daily Stand-Up by Lifetime Value. Please note that the views expressed in these conversations are attributed only to those individuals on this recording and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of their respective employers. For all inquiries, please reach out via email to dylan@lifetimevaluemedia.com. Find us on YouTube at Lifetime Value, and find us on the socials at Lifetime Value Media. Until next time.
Hey folks, it's Dylan here. Thank you
for tuning in, as always. Now, I've got a favor to ask of you. If you've made it this far, hopefully it means you like what we're doing with our program. So I'm asking you to please give this a like and a follow or a subscribe, and leave a comment too. Your likes and your follows and your subscriptions, they allow us to keep doing what we're doing and reach a larger audience. Your comments help us make sure that we're making the best content for you. Best of all, it's free besides a few moments of your time. Thank you again for following along, and we'll see you next time.